So this is going to be a demonstration of a web application firewall. I think everyone should be running one of these. They can be extremely effective at protecting your web infrastructure, and at the same time they can be very inexpensive. Uh, this whole setup is basically free, less the cost of hardware. If you have a virtualized environment already, cost of hardware is reduced even further. So this is getting pretty close to a free solution. Basically, the blue screen here is your web application firewall, otherwise known as a WAF. I have an attacker down here and a victim over here. These are heartbeats in the web log right now. The setup is an Apache 2.4 web server running mod security. It's running in place with HA proxy, so you actually have a load balancer as well. So that's another option to further protect your environment and give yourself higher availability if you wish. And so on the WAF up here, you're going to have HA proxy sitting in front of mod security. HA proxy is going to take the connection, pass it off to Apache for web security, for mod security to handle, and then pass it back to HA proxy, which will then pass the request in a load balanced configuration to any number of web servers in the back end. Right now we're just running a single web server in the back end. So we'll right now the WAF is in off mode. This is a log of what the WAF is kind of detecting and seeing. It will display a few errors in here when we do the attack, but not the same as when I turn it on. Down here you will see a lot of activity, and we're just using Nikto, which is a pretty common tool for looking for web vulnerabilities. You can call it an attack. It's more of a probe of your infrastructure, what you have in there. It's not going to go and actually exploit anything. You need a tool like Metasploit if you wanted to do full exploitation of the vulnerabilities you found with Nikto, but it's a good demonstration of the WAF doing what you want it to do, which is protect the web servers in the back end. So we're going to fire this up. So that's attacking this host over here, and you will see almost right away, bang, it starts spewing out all this information over here. And you also see that it does become aware that this WAF is in the way, because the WAF is definitely watching all this traffic. It's not doing anything about it, but it is aware of the traffic, and it's now intercepting and kind of proxying that traffic. So you're seeing some of the errors that are being created from these requests from the attacker over here. Well, I'm just going to let that run for a second. You get an idea of the kind of load this could put on your system. Right now it's just a pure HTTP attack, but if you did this against SSL, it definitely would impact your CPU. And this is a single attacker as well. The load on the WAF is actually very minimal. The WAF doesn't need to be extraordinarily powerful to be effective. You can base your WAF sizing pretty much on your downstream, however much bandwidth an attacker can use. You know, once they've used up your downstream, your protections in your infrastructure, you've gone from an attack mode to basically being DOSed at that point. So your WAF can't do much about it. In this stack with HA proxy, we are using HA proxy as well as a bit of a DDoS buffer with the ability to tar pit hosts that are trying to do like a slow HTTP, slow LoRa's attack. So it gives you a little bit of protection there, but again, if someone launches an attack with a big enough botnet just to soak up all your either your bandwidth or the capabilities of your perimeter systems, there's not a lot you're going to do. You're going to get a hold of your ISP and see what you can do to mitigate that attack. That's probably enough for now to get the idea here. We'll cancel out of here, and it stops right away. The heartbeats will start coming back. And the heartbeats are just there in an environment where you do have multiple web servers. If one goes offline, the heartbeats will detect that and it'll take it out of the round robin balancing. So we'll just hop over here and I'm going to do a quick change here. I'm just turning. Okay. So all I've done is I've turned the WAF on, so it's now protecting the host down here, and we're just going to do that same attack again. And you should see that the WAF instantly is taking the brunt of the attack. It's completely deflecting the attack, and the heartbeats are still bumping along, and you're not seeing any requests coming from the attacker. That is a beautiful thing. That is a very, very powerful tool if you choose to use it in your environment. The setup is fairly straightforward. There's plenty of documentation on the internet on how to do this. In this instance, these are all FreeBSD systems running Apache, Nginx, HA proxy, and what have you. Let's see. I'd let it run through, but it would run for a long time. I think that gets the point across, though. In any environment, it would be a very, very wise thing to do to use some kind of a WAF. You can certainly buy hardware appliances that do this, but you will spend a lot of money and they won't do a better job than mod security will be doing for you. So that's something to consider. If you can deploy mod security, and the rules for mod security are well maintained on the internet. They're updated regularly, so you can just create a cron job to grab fresh rules as needed and keep your protections up to date. I think we'll wrap it up there. That's a pretty good demonstration, although I might sit here and watch it finish. For what it's worth, I have run through these before, and it has run all the way to the end. I've ran this with some of your attacking tools, your Nessuses, your Nexpose, your Qualys, all those little tools you can use for doing vulnerability sweeps of your infrastructure. I've run those against a WAF like this as well. Same results. The WAF just takes the brunt of the attack, and your web server just hums along happily in the background. Let's see.